Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Dylan Tonkin. And for those of you that have not had the experience of listening to one of my podcasts yet, I know we're kind of expanding our guests' resumes. So this podcast, I've been waiting for a very long time to record this podcast. Whenever I initially sat down while I was hiking the PCT, I made a list of like 30 or 40 people that I was like, man, I got to get these people on the podcast. These are some people that really motivate and inspire me to live my best life, which is, what I'm trying to do through being able to sit down with some of the people that I've had as guests. And Jeff Coates is one of them. He was one of the first people that I wrote down. I met Jeff Coates years ago while I was bartending in Annapolis, Maryland. And I think we get into that just a little bit, but I had always, followed him on Instagram. I think I started following him when he had about 5,000 followers maybe. And since then, he has continued to just do a fantastic job to promote himself, but mostly promote other people and the hunting industry and stewardship in regards to the waterfowl that are one of the greatest assets that we have as hunters, is just a plethora of amazing ducks that we get the opportunity to care for and then to go and hopefully harvest. Jeff Coates is based out of Ocean City right now, but I met him up in Havre de Grace, Maryland, which is a little bit closer to his home. So this year I hunted with Jeff for 2 days in December. We hunted sea ducks, and we don't really get into a lot about the hunting side, what we're doing in this episode, but Jeff just, man, fantastic person. I had so much fun with this. This was one that I was really looking forward to. Even before I went hunting with him, this was one of the ones where like, all right, go and meet the guy again, hang out with him, do some hunting with him, and then I brought it up, and he was just happy to accommodate. So I had a great time sitting in Jeff's garage. We were in the middle of everything that makes Jeff who he is and what he does, and he really surrounds himself with people and hobbies and activities and some dogs that really make it just such a unique experience for me, and I can't thank Jeff enough. So hope you guys enjoy. I had a great time. All right, everybody, I'm sitting in the coolest place I've been in the last year. I'm sitting down with a gentleman named Jeff Coates, who is a fantastic hunting guide. He's a fisherman. He's a well-known and most importantly, well-respected duck carver hunting guide. He's the seaduck king of the East Coast, whether or not he admits it. I met Jeff several years ago. I was actually bartending for a catering company out of Havre de Grace, Maryland, where he's originally from. And I saw the logo on the side of his truck, and I texted my buddy Chris. I said, dude, what's up with this Pitboss guy? And he got me hooked right away. He said, Jeff's a great guy. He said, you want to know him. He's a fantastic person. So I finally got to hunt with Jeff this year. One of the best hunts I've ever been on my life. Super memorable hunt. We shot limits both days of scoters. We got an eider in there, and I shot my first old squaw on that hunt. So very, very memorable year for me, especially now that I get to sit down a little bit later and sit down and talk with Jeff Coates. Jeff, thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough for being on the podcast.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you. I'm not going to admit to any of that, except you say it's cool, and we're sitting in my garage and a little kerosene. I'm in shorts and flip-flops, but I do have the kerosene heater fired up next to us. So if you want to say it's cool because the temperature's down a little bit, it's supposed to snow pretty good tonight.
It is. That's why I'm not working tomorrow.
But sincerely, man, that you're embarrassing me as far as the introduction goes, and a lot of the stuff. I think over the years, I guess with many things, the way stuff happens for people, maybe it's just all about timing. That kind of the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time. I guess you could flip a coin and see which way you want to go with that. But I think a lot of stuff is just timing. And as I get older, I really understand that everything is relative. And 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I didn't maybe quite understand that, but I definitely understand it now that many things are relative. And again, it kind of flips back to maybe it was just the right place at the right time for me.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have had that opportunity, and it was so awesome that you just said one of the things that whenever I hunted with you, you talked about it's all relative and it's all about perspective.
I think so. Again, like I don't want to be like the old guy and preach because I'm not, and I'm not going to, but it is. It's the truth of what you've done and what you haven't done and what I've done and what I haven't done makes it it makes it relative to you and I. I mean, I learned really quick early on. I mean, how many surf scoters have been in my hands over the years? So, you know, if you shot your very first surf scoter,
I did.
And it's a big deal. So I don't like, hey, this is just a surf scoter, right? Segue real quick. Bufflehead are prevalent everywhere, right? My good buddy Curtis Campbell, he wants to go shoot redheads. They go down to Texas coast, Gulf Coast, and Jeff, it's incredible. With redheads are everywhere, and this is like one of our dream hunts. This is what we want to do. And the guide, good guide, he's letting his dog go get all the birds, and he says, buddy down on the end shoots a Drake bufflehead. He said the guide starts beating his dog, runs out there and grabs this bufflehead and brings it back and says, look at this like who wants to get this mounted? And they all started laughing. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, look at this bufflehead. He's like, this is a prime Drake bufflehead. Look at this. Like, dude, we don't shoot those at home because we don't shoot them because they're everywhere. But the point in that is, it's a really good story to kind of drive this home. Is it's truly all relative. On the Gulf Coast of Texas, evidently they don't get any bufflehead, but they get all the redheads you want.
We'll trade them.
Exactly. But anyway,
that's so good because I know, since I said earlier I followed you on Instagram for a very long time. That's
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Jeff's a very predominant figure for, and I don't want to say figure. I think that the word that you used, which I think is the perfect word, was either ambassador or steward for the hunting industry and waterfowl. Not just as a hunter, but as a steward that really helps to protect and preserve the natural resource of the waterfowl. And as soon as I started watching the Pitboss Refuge back here with all the bufflehead, it was like I really started to reconsider, this is something that really isn't, a spectacular duck to us because it's so common. And now I kind of I don't want to shoot greenheads anymore. It's a common thing, and I want to shoot some of those more trophy ducks, and that's how I ended up on your boat.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you had a good time, which you said you did. But
we already booked for next year. I owe you a deposit. I still owe you a deposit.
It's all good, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We did. We had 2 limits, 2 days, and just a fantastic time with our first trophy duck hunt, and it truly was an all-encompassing thing. It wasn't just the ducks that we were hunting. It was the person that we were with. It was the people that were on our boat that really made the trip. I feel like there's so many things that set you apart from some other guides that I've been with. How do you feel like what is it that you bring to the table that most guides don't?
Well, I won't say most. You can say most guys because I'm not.
I'll say most. You're so humble, Jeff.
Well, I'm not going to say that because everybody has their own way of doing things. So I'm not going to say. Yeah. I don't want to be put against somebody else. You can put me against somebody else, but I'm not going to.
I like your style.
Well, thank you. If you're going to take a drink, then how
they're pretty sensitive.
When you took a drink, I don't know what you're drinking yours, but you know what I'm drinking in this one. So.
I stopped at Wawa, your favorite place. I got $1 coffee. I will say that they were gracious enough to me the one morning. I filled up my 64-ounce coffee any size, $1.
There you go, man.
Depends who's at the counter. Anyway, go ahead.
All right.
What is it that makes you do what you do?
I think maybe the first and foremost thing is that it's like one and 1A is that it's about you and not me, right? So I don't even bring a gun. It's not about me shooting with you. It's about your experience, and in your experience is about you having a great time. So that's kind of it's I don't know which one you want to put first, but it's not about me hunting. It's about you. And I want to make sure that you get the best experience you can. I can't control the wind, the weather, and the birds, only myself and my equipment. So there are some days that they're slower and they're not as I like to say, not as advertised, just because if there is zero wind, it's going to be a pretty tough day, regardless of where you're at. You're going to see birds fly. Are they going to decoy? Yeah, I don't know, just because there is no wind. But I said it day in and day out, it's about you. And over the years, that's just the way I've conducted myself, and I think I kind of become a little bit too like the, not everybody is from here. Most, I would say 90% of everybody that's on my boat, they're not from here. So I want to tell them about the area. I want to promote the area, what the area has. I mean, Maryland, Chesapeake Bay, the Eastern Shore has a lot of history and tradition, and I just really try to help kind of promote that. So that's part. It's just not about you coming. You can kill birds you can kill a scoter with anybody, right? Yeah. I just want to try to do it a little nicer and a little better, so that you have a better experience. That's all.
Yeah, I feel like it really was. I live in Maryland. I'm not from Maryland. The other three guys that were in the boat with us were all from Pennsylvania, and they all live in Pittsburgh, which I'm not a sports guy, but they live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So they traveled. They took their vacation time, and whenever we left here, everybody just talked about how much they truly enjoyed. And we didn't even really talk about the ducks that we saw or the ducks that we missed or the ducks that we hit. It was about that full experience, and part of that is the things that you do to advertise for local businesses and talk about your upbringing and how you got to be a 20-year veteran guide. I mean, you've been doing this for longer than I've been duck hunting, and I'm sure longer than many folks have been duck hunting. And I know that the industry has changed. And how have you been able to adapt to the changing industry? Because it seems like it's always changing. How do you adapt to the demands?
Well, I'm gonna touch on that real quick, but I want to just rewind just a second and say, I feel like I work hard for my money, and I'm going to assume that you and all your friends work very hard for your money. So the money is also a primo in my mind of like, I'm taking your money. I'm providing a service, right? And you're paying me for that service. You're compensating me for that service. So I've always wanted to make sure, that I don't want anybody coming here and scratch their head after they pay me and say, what did we just pay for? Like, what did we just experience? And, there's a lot of times when I'd rather not take your money than for you to go away thinking, what was that all about? And over the years, I've heard all kinds of stories about, guides, money guides and birds and hunts and, just all kinds of different situations. So has somebody went away, on a hunt from me scratching their head? I mean, there's one I can remember that I told them not to come and they came anyway. Yeah. But generally, when I tell somebody it's not going to be good or don't come, I mean, they've all, years later, they say, Jeff, I've never been with a guy that didn't want to take our money and said, here's your money back. It's not going to be right, so don't come. Don't drive 9 hours to get here. I want to give your money back because it's going to blow 50 miles an hour the next 2 days, and it's not going to be as advertised. And to this day, upstate New York, I've got some friends that will still remind me of, hey man, when I was young and my dad wanted to come down, you gave us our money back and said, don't come down. Like, we've never experienced that before.
Those people speak about you still. I guarantee it. Talk about advertising. You could be in a negative, or here you didn't make any money on that day. You sent it back to them. But I guarantee they told that story to everybody, and everybody heard the name Jeff Coates at the end.
Thank you. Staying ahead, right? Or the evolving, re-evolving, or Karen, as we drove this morning, Karen was off today. We went and got our Wawa coffee. We headed to the beach, let the dogs run, and we talked the whole time, like we always do. So we enjoy talking. I enjoy talking, and I enjoy listening. She listens probably more than I listen to her, but I'll have to admit. But anyway, just kind of staying ahead of the curve, if you will, right? That's what it's. I had a 21-foot boat. I had the very first one that they made, and that's. I won't say it put me at the top of what I was doing, but at least in the area here for sure. Like nobody else had that boat. Well, 6, 7, 8 years seasons later, there's like 10 of those boats in Maryland that they're just fun hunting. They're not even guiding. So like I need to step up my service, right? I need to step up what I'm doing. And so I got a 25-foot boat. I still only took 4 people, but instead of you sitting on a 6-gallon bucket spin seat, I think, I don't know, I guess I'm going to put you, there's one sheriff sitting right there.
I sat in them, they're nice.
Or they're up there. But I'm going to put you on the spot and I guess I'm going to make you say that they're nice. But I went with, try to do quality versus the quantity. I didn't get a bigger boat to take more people. I got a bigger boat so I could provide a better service. And there's not a little asterisk, but we'll just plant a little seed. There may be even a bigger duck boat in the future. That's really what we were talking about.
A little footnote?
A little footnote that there's.
Really?
Yeah.
No. I hate talking about what, but I'm curious. What boat do you have? What did we hunt out of?
It's a 25-foot duck boat.
25-foot duck boat. Yeah. Okay. It looks like a tank in the driveway. Tank on a trailer. But it really is. It adds to the experience.
Yeah, it's designed to do what we do, right? I think it's outside somewhere there.
I think they're coming for us.
The black Suburbans are pulling up.
They're probably here for me. Yeah,
but it's a boat made to do what we do, and again, like I'm putting you on the spot for you to say, yeah, it's comfortable. But like those seats, like I'll have guys say, mid morning, like, man, I've never duck hunted from a seat like this.
I sat on a lot of buckets in my day, Jeff.
I have too,
or tripod stools that are sinking in the mud,
or some hard old boards.
Yeah, and I think that really does. Those little touches that you do really do add to the full experience. One thing that I do a lot of speaking and training because I'm a talker too. That's my problem. That's why I can't deer hunt because I talk too much.
Seaduck hunting is a very social experience.
It is, and
I love it.
That's the appeal to it to a lot of the folks that I hunt with because of the camaraderie. One of my favorite memories whenever I look back on the hunts are always about who I was with and not where I was. I think that the service that you provide encompasses that in all manners.
You didn't get to experience this because I was honestly in between stoves and burners and processes, but to I got the bigger boat also so I could try to maybe cook a little something in the morning, and I got out mid-season. Well, in the beginning, cream of crab and Maryland crab soup. For about the first 2 weeks, I went through a lot of crab soup that I didn't get used because the weather was bad or the hunt was an hour. Like they were shooting them slow and the hunt was an hour and like we were done. So like I wasted a lot and I kind of got out of the routine. Like we were talking earlier about how, structure and routine, I got out of it. And then towards the end of the season, I got back into it. And actually after Christmas, Karen got me a little can, my mom too, got me a little can cooker and a little different burner and kind of changed up the way I was doing it. But I really want people to have fun and to enjoy the experience here.
Yeah, we were in the position where you were like, guys, you can't shoot all the birds that are coming in. Like we're going to be done in like 20 minutes. It's like the sun is barely up.
Yep.
And I think that with 20 years of experience, you've really been able to develop that and get on the right spot many times. It's not it's still hunting.
Sure.
How do you think that what have you personally grown? How have you grown as a guide and developed yourself professionally to be who you are today?
Probably, it could be argued my maturity level current day, but probably just maturing a little bit. But even in the beginning, I don't think, I've never really, there's only probably 2 times that one time that I really cussed somebody that stands out in my mind, but generally, I always say legally and safely, legally. So, if guys want to shoot at birds that are 100 yards away, although I don't recommend that. Like I don't beat somebody down for the shot they just took because as long as it's something they legally shoot, it's about them having fun. And I don't. Other guys have to have them 10 feet away before they on the water before they shoot them too. So I mean, it's kind of you don't know who you have in your boat. Speaking of that, I could go off on another tangent.
Go for it. We're not afraid of tangents here.
Well, let's talk about that story. It'll come back up, I'm sure. But so
take another drink.
so I stay somewhat on task. Is probably just my maturity level. In the beginning, especially the want and the need to do this full time. So I better learn something so that I can send people away happy or get people to come back with me again for multiple years, multiple seasons. Because at the end of the day, although I don't want to make it about money, I got bills to pay just like you do. So although it's fun to go fun hunt, I am doing this at the end of the day for I got bills to pay.
Yeah.
So I used to. Well, that's another tangent.
What do you think? Like, why duck hunting? Why this? It's hard.
Yeah, there's Duke barking.
Hey, Duke.
Yeah, I think you just saw. It's probably a UPS truck sitting out front.
I heard him.
That's probably what he sees.
This podcast is 100% dog friendly.
Streaking him, but other than that, there's nothing wrong with him. So the one time he came in, he literally had a tire mark, a UPS truck tire mark in his head because he would try to go eat the tires. So anyway, although UPS dropped off his food, he's a different dog. So,
but you love him to death. Yeah, you guys do a very good job. No, I just cut you off, but you guys do a really good job. Jeff's a big on the Instagram stories. His Instagram stories are so good to watch. And whenever I'm dealing with work, I watch Jeff's Instagram stories to get away from it. But you do spend a lot of time with the dogs at the beach, and I think that
it's a lot of energy. They need to burn it up.
Yeah.
So before Duke started barking, we were talking about
why duck hunting.
Why duck hunting? Yeah. I was born in Haverty Grace, so the decoy capital of the world, if you will, self-proclaimed decoy capital of the world. And ironically enough, the very first things that I hunted were actually turkey, and got a little bit into turkey hunting. And this is back in the day, way back in the day, when you could only hunt in Maryland turkey the 3 western counties in the state, so it was not open statewide. And so I just got into the spring turkey hunting a little bit. I happened to be working as a civil engineer, where one of the guys was a very avid duck hunter, and basically we kind of swapped out hunts, if you will, where I took him turkey hunting and he took me
Cool.
duck hunting, and that's just just once I went, it's the whole. And still today, I mean, I get up at 2:30 in the morning. It was really cool. You're laughing.
I'm with you, dude. I know.
It's just I love getting up early. Nobody like how many other people are doing this now? I know there's a lot of people duck hunt, but still, out on the road, there's nobody on the road in the mornings. Maybe a couple people at Wawa or wherever you stop at the gas station, coffee shop, wherever, whatever. But just in the beginning, like it was like a whole event. It was a whole adventure, and I think that's really more how did I get hooked was just the complete adventure in my mind, the complete adventure that it was. And again, like you said, doing it with friends. It wasn't something I was doing solo, much like the turkey hunting is. And there's Duke barking again. So
we're good.
But it was I guess if I had to say what was the main the thing atop duck hunting that was very attractive, it was the adventure, because we'd leave the Harford County, Haverty Grace area. We would leave 11 p.m. the night before to go to public hunting that was 3 hours away on the Eastern Shore. And it was just the whole adventure of, we took our time. We stop along the way, stop in Easton, get breakfast at Denny's, head on down. We're still at the ramp at like 3:30 in the morning. And it was just like, it was a real adventure. And that's whether it was a lot of ducks or no ducks, it was the adventure is what got me kind of hooked in it.
Yeah, I can absolutely relate to that. I live up north of Baltimore, and this year was the first year I shot a deer in a long time. And I was getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was driving to Salisbury just to hike a mile. And before that, I was spending so much time driving down to the Eastern Shore to walk in on public land just so I could get out and see my dog. And it was like, that was the adventure. And there were so many times where I would just trudge through the swamp just to sit there and not see any ducks, but just spend the time with my dog. Do you the guy that you were going out hunting, is he still around? Or
yeah, well, they're I've moved and they're still there.
Yeah,
I think Jeff with a G. I think he's still. I don't really stay in. Truly, I don't stay in contact with him as much as probably what I should.
it's tough.
But I've seen him at a couple of decoy shows. He got into decoys, and that's really where I've seen him the most. And the same thing too. I mean, as you get older, things change, and jokingly we say some of the stuff that I've done is like, well, yeah, it was in a different lifetime. It's not a different lifetime.
Yeah, I've recently been home, and I'm starting to feel my age. I'm only in my mid-30s. I'm about to get married, but it's like I'm in my mid-30s, and I've been out of high school almost 20 years, and now I'm starting to feel it and see things changing.
I can see a tire print or two here on the floor, but behind me, before all this was here, there was a 1970 Chevelle Super Sport, big block Chevrolet that sat in here since like 1997, and I guess it's been probably a good 4 years ago I finally dug it back out. I mean, you couldn't even hardly see there was a car in here. There was so much stuff sitting on it. But I was heavily into drag racing, again in a different lifetime.
It's been replaced with one of the coolest little tight, and you don't even understand how small this shop is that you carve decoys in until you see it, and the products that are coming out of there are phenomenal, man.
Thank you.
So good.
Thank you, very kind. Thank you.
Yeah. Now you hunt over all of your own hand carved decoys, and what got you into doing? Let me do this myself. How did that happen?
Yeah, I would say my very first decoy I made in 1994, and again, kind of coming from Haverty Grace, decoys. There's a lot of decoy makers, a lot of decoy carvers in Haverty Grace, really in Harford County, Cecil County, along Susquehanna, and at the head of the bay there. And I just thought it would be really cool to actually make something that, to get away from the plastic stuff and actually carve something that actually a duck would come and land to, or be attracted to. And that was really the part of the interest. And the other thing is I kind of like to make stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean I wonder because I'm a terrible duck caller. That's why I try not to call ducks. And I wonder if you get that satisfaction. And you might know if you get that satisfaction of the birds coming into the decoys that you've hand carved, the same way a person would get the enjoyment out of finishing a duck with calling it in.
Yeah, I think so. And part of it too from the beginning. Well, not really the beginning, but early on in there was I would take these birds and go to a lot of contests. So It was kind of like almost like with drag racing. I kind of went to the top. I won Super Chevy Sunday in 1992, and I was kind of like done with drag racing. So the decoy shows, I went and I'm carving decoys. I got 4 best of shows. You know, I don't need to. I still carve decoys. Yeah. I'm not going to go any more decoy shows just because we'll check that off the list.
Yeah, I didn't realize that about you. I didn't realize that you were, you know, had previously been in competitive decoy carving.
I mean, my stuff's still pretty crude, but I mean, I was lucky, fortunate, whatever word you want to use. A couple times at Haverty Grace and Westlake, Ohio show. Okay. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot in a decoy contest. There's every species, you know, whatever species happen to be showed. The categories would be for every species. And there's a lot of blue ribbons given out for each of those species. But at the end of it all, there's going to be one blue ribbon that's really going to have 3 blue ribbons because it was best of the species, it was best of the class, you know, diving ducks, and then it's going to have it. Then it made it to the best of show. So there's only one best of show decoy. So
you got a few of them.
Yeah, I got a lot, but I got many. I'll say it again, many more green ribbons. Green ribbons are honorable mention. So first, second, third, blue. Blue, white, sometimes yellow and red, depending on where the contest was. But honorable mentions, and yeah, I have a tremendous amount of honorable mention ribbons.
So I know that you've been doing this for 20 years. Before that, you had a stint in the engineering side of another industry. How did you make that transition? Because I know as a person who's now stepped out on my own, it's scary. And what made you do it, and how did you overcome all those struggles of being out on your own?
Yep, it was a civil engineer, and I decided I was going to get married. And at the time, in a different lifetime,
yeah, I like it. I'm gonna borrow that
because it was a much different lifetime then. Anyway, long story short, got married. Just turned 23, got married, and my then current father-in-law was always been self-employed, and he ventured out and said, "Hey, I found this nice little business. Would myself and his daughter like to run it?" And basically got me into the mode of being self-employed. And I think because I did it at the age of 23, it just kind of fell in and kind of put me in that, I'm not the 40-hour week guy, and that's kind of what launched me off truly to do this that I'm sitting here today is that I got married in that other lifetime. I decided to take that, I guess there was a little bit of safety net there. I felt comfortable doing it, but basically ventured out, and we had a small business, a legitimate small business.
Okay.
And it was drove Harford County to Baltimore City every day, and that was kind of the beginning of it. And that's what really put me in the mode or the mindset to, I guess, if you want to say be self-employed, to be self-employed.
Could you ever go back and work for somebody?
Like you saw me there in the summertime, and you saw me there in the summertime that was Harford County Parks and Recreation. So Harford County government, which that was such a loose job that I felt I fit in there pretty easily because you're kind of on your own. But yeah, I don't know. I tried working at Giant Food one time, and it was pretty structured, and I do kind of have that hands-on. Like I know a better way to do that, and it doesn't really work that well in that world, right? when you are new or you're the outside guy. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's probably the Harford County government thing during the summer. That was and that's been many years since I've done that. But yeah, I guess current day, with the Pitboss girls. I've done some, if you want to call it I guess we call it some subcontract work for them, where I go and kind of represent them. I guess we'd say I represent a couple different companies in that venue or that vein, but it's not like I'm not going for them and working 40 hours a week or whatever, how many hours. It's not whatever the average job is.
Yeah, and I think that it was interesting that you said that about the 40-hour work week, and I would like to see the numbers that you put up, because it seems like you're just you're so ingrained, and what you do is so much a part of who you are and who you bring out in through your Instagram and your YouTube videos and your photography, which is, man, I love photography. It's such a part of your life that it just seems like you've been able to develop your life to be your business.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, especially, current day, Karen's a very big part of it. She gets and understands me and what I do. My mother's older, and she's actually moved in with us, and I'll get a lot of Jeffrey, you show everybody everything you do, and Karen says, yeah, but that's who he is, and that's what he does, and that's who he is, and and the reality is that really is who I am, and so I'm rambling here a little bit, but yeah, we could go off and talk about social media in a different venue about promotion and branding and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, yeah, it's what I do, and it's what I've done for a long time. So I guess that's my norm, or that's my. And when I say the 40-hour week, I'm not backhanding anybody that has that goes to work for 40 hours Monday through Friday or whatever it is. I don't have any. I have no issue with them. Right. I'm not. It's nothing. I have nothing against that.
I'm the same way. It's just not for me, and I don't think it's for you.
Yeah, it's just not. It's just I'm not that I'm a free spirit or anything, but I guess sometimes you have that label, doesn't play well with others, kind of thing. That
I know that.
Yeah, because I do what I do, and that's the way I do it, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I consider myself a flight risk. Anytime I have a boss, I'm a flight risk. Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. And you kind of segued into bringing Karen in, and you seem like you do a pretty good job, just from the outside looking in, of balancing, this life and your home life and your personal life. And it's refreshing to see somebody who's out there on social media so much, spending time with your wife, and giving her terms of endearment. Here, hey, love's doing this, love's doing that. It's so good to see in this day and age such a positive relationship between the two of you and the dogs that you guys have.
Well, thank you. I mean, truly, she's my best friend, and it's taken me 40. I guess it depends on what age you want to say. You start, but I mean, it's been over 40 years to find that person, kind of thing, right? So she is my current wife, and she's going to be my last wife, kind of thing. So at least in my mind, she is, and she truly is my best friend, and she's the thing I think about. Well, wake up with her and go to sleep with her now. But I mean, even when we were kind of back and forth, I mean, she was like the first thing I thought about when I wake up, and she's the last thing I think about when I go to sleep, and nothing's really changed there. But yeah, I mean, she's very important to what I do, and again, it's great. It's a great feeling to have support from her, that she gets and understands what I do. So it's never an issue of sitting here with you. I mean, it's not. It's She's off today, right? Yeah. I even asked her. She's like, no. She says, no. She said, that's great. Do it. That's. She's got stuff she can do too. Okay. So,
thank you, Karen. I appreciate you. Yeah,
but it's the truth.
That's so good to see. And I know, not too many months ago, I had a cheeseburger off of a delicious Pitboss smoker. How did that all just come to be? Because you're Pitboss in so many people's eyes, and then it was just like the collision of these two parallel universes that just blossomed into an amazing, adventure.
Well, the one funny thing I have to say is, to this day, just like I told you earlier, that there's people that will question me, do I guide? There'll be people that they think that I own that grill, that is me. And it's just, I don't know why, but I guess I can see a little bit of why, but like I just have people that think that's, that is my company. Yeah. The grill is my company. It's not. It's PIT space capital BOSS Grills. And I am PITBOSS capital space capital W. So it is a little bit different. But truly, I mean, there's probably a little story or a little lesson in there. But I mean, my association. Okay, so I'm gonna rewind.
No, we're good.
Karen and I love to cook. We love to eat. We love to grill. Friend of mine, he has a Traeger. He's like, you gotta get one of these. I just got one of these things. As much as you guys like the grill, you will have one of these. And I was like, I don't know. Started doing a little investigation on them. I was like, I don't know. They kind of look like an oven. They're like cooking cookies on them and pizzas and stuff. And I was like, we just like meat. We want to do meat.
We're carnivores.
Yeah, just okay. We like sweets too, but like I don't really want to grill my cookies. And he had us over for a pork butt one night. And it was incredible. He's like, it's what I talk about, the adventure. Mm. Well, this is the cooking to us is more of the event. And he's like, it took me, I've cooked this thing for 12 hours, low and slow, and I've done all these different steps to get it this way. And he reached in and he just pulled the bone right out. Like, it's like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. And it smelled good. And we had some awesome pulled pork. And as we were driving home, I was like, Karen, we got to get one of these things. Mm-hmm. So I started looking out, and we doing a little bit of research, and like, wait a second, because Mark wanted us to get the Traeger. Like, wait a second, there's one called Pitboss? Wait a minute. There is one that's out there called Pitboss. How can I not get the one that's called Pitboss? And we did some research on them, and they had some really good reviews, and you know, maybe it's like Ford, Dodge, Chevy, Jeep, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're all transportation. They're just all a little different. So anyway, long story short, we settled in on the Pitboss. And I guess I can, if I'm really telling the whole story, is I did in Mark's. He's like, man, he says, if that's the one you're going to get, you should reach out to him and say, hey, will you send us one? You know, we do all this different stuff. This is what we do. This is our life, and we just, you know. And I did. I put an email out. It's the same kind of thing. I get, you know, in a week's time. Hey, can you send me this? Hey, can you do that? Hey, can you donate this? Can you can you?
Yeah.
And you know, I try to do the best I can, but a lot of times, more often than not, I say no.
Yeah.
And so I get it. I mean, they're busy, whatever, but I never really got a response. I was like, it's okay. We're going to buy one anyway, so let's go buy it. So we start using it, start cooking on it, start grilling, start smoking. A little bit of a learning curve. We kind of fall right in. On Instagram, I started tagging them along, and just showing that we're using. And all of a sudden, Pitboss Grills gets a hold of me and says, hey, what's your address? Gave them my address, and here comes this whole big box of accessories. And they're like, hey, we really appreciate what you do for us. Can keep it up, thank you. Give you the attaboy, right? And then, hey, would you like to take over our Instagram stories one time? Sure. What do I need to do? Just do what you do, man. Like, don't just do what you do. So I took it over, and I did it for 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, this vertical smoker shows up at the door. It's like a $600 vertical smoker, 5 Series Copperhead. I was like, hey, thank you very much. They're like, hey, we appreciate what you do for us. Can you use it? Sure, we can use it. So a little bit of a learning curve again, just because we hadn't used one. And bam, we're on it. And I think Father's Day rolled around, and they're like, would you like to take over our stories again? Would you like to give away a vertical smoker? Sure, let's do it. And the next thing, hey, we're the official grill of NASCAR. Do you want to go to this NASCAR event? Sure, let's do it. It's just kind of evolved. But the bottom line to all this is, in this particular case, is really just from Instagram.
Yeah, and I think that one of the ways that whenever I look at that whole thing and I look at you, you're just being you. Like, you're just being as Jeff Coates as you can be, and you're putting yourself out there, and you don't seem like you're trying to do this or you're just being who you are, and you're true to yourself, and you seem that you've been that way.
Well, sometimes I might put the voice on,
And we're going to get to that too.
Sometimes I put the voice on, but but even when I put
That's
the voice
who you
on,
are.
yeah, but even I'll put the voice on, I'm still the same guy, but sometimes I do the voice.
Yeah, that's who you are. And another thing, along with this Instagram thing, one thing that I've seen that you've been consistent about, and I want to know where it came from, was, what's your tagline, Jeff?
Thinking of you, we are.
So good. Where did that come from? And then I'll tell you how I feel about it.
Okay, well, I have that, all the time. Like, I'll get Instagram message. What's that mean? What's it really mean? I was like, we're having fun. And anybody that's not here having the fun with us, thinking of you, we are. And that's just really just kind of, it just, I don't know why it popped out of my mind or my mouth one day, but that was my mind or my mouth. But that was just like, thinking of you, we are. Because it's just, we're having a good time. I like to have a good time, and hopefully it appears that we're having fun. Hey, and anybody that's not with us, man, we wish you were with us, experiencing this and having fun with us.
I think that, as a person from the outside looking in, like, watching this happen in real time, it was like, man, I feel like I know this guy. Like, I feel like he knows that I'm out there listening and watching, and he appreciates it. It was like your way of saying, like, hey, I appreciate you guys following along, and I wish that you were here. Yeah,
I mean, it's the truth. Like, sometimes I've had a person or two say, like, that's kind of like you're being, like, you're backhanding somebody. It's like, I don't mean it like that. I mean, truly, wish you were here. Like, that's what it is. Thinking of you. We're doing this, and thinking of you, we are.
Yeah, that was it's such a good tagline, and wherever it came from, man, it's so good, and it's so genuine.
Well, thank you. And I truly can't. I don't know what the conscious thought that made me say that, but it just started in and amongst, I don't know how many years now that I've been doing it, but it just really is kind of, probably, well, maybe if I had to really think back through Karen, it's probably somewhere in there. But yeah, just kind of fit.
Yeah.
I thought.
it does seem, after spending time with you on the boat and talking with you, you're just such a like a reachable person. Like, you just talk to people on Instagram, and everybody that I've spoken to or has hunted with you is like, man, you got to go hunt with Jeff, and you just seem like such a genuine easy to talk to and easy to reach out to guy.
Thank you. I mean, I have my phone. That's the only my only phone number I have is my cell phone. So it's as I always say, man, my phone's on. My phone's always on. Text or talk or text. But I mean, I really do try to make the effort. Is there somebody I missed out there somewhere along the way? You didn't get back with them or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure there is. But I mean, generally, I'm pretty good about my biggest problem with email is if I read it and I don't reply instantly, then it does kind of fall down, right? But as long as if I don't read it, I'm pretty good about if I don't read it on my phone. Sometimes it's better for me to sit down at the computer and answer. But anyway, regardless, I really do try to. Anybody that takes the time to reach out to me, at least even like in a post. I mean, even if it's just a quick thumbs up, in my mind is I acknowledge that they commented, even if I'm not like giving them a whole big, hey, thank you, and the answer to this question is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Usually somebody asks a question, I will answer, but I mean, I really do go through and try to acknowledge everybody that takes the time to comment.
Yeah, one thing
even some of the negative comments.
Sometimes it's like, all right, you're getting a response on that, right? It's like, look, buddy, it's not like that.
No, it's my response is thank you very much. It doesn't matter what they say.
Kill them with kindness.
Thank you very much. That is a backhanded FU though.
That's a total
when you say have a good day or thank you very much.
I always say if I'm trying to get something, thank you in advance. Like you don't need to respond. Thanks. Like I know you're gonna do it. You talked about creating things, and we talked about carving the decoys, and you're all over there on Instagram. But you described yourself to me before as a creative person, and how did you hone your skills or just develop those things to such a level where they are right now?
I'm a much better guy that if you showed me how to do something, I mean, can I read? Yes. But I'm much better to physically sit down with you and watch you do something. And over the years, it doesn't really matter, the ducks, the dogs, decoys, whatever it is, I've had people that I'll call my mentors. They've taken the time to share what they know. Probably my biggest best mentor, Donald Hughes, he's passed away, but he used to always tell me he was full of useless knowledge. And I always say, man, I found all his useless knowledge very useful. So, but it's more of somebody's taken the time to show me something. And again, I don't know what, I'm not that educated to tell you whatever kind of learner that is. Yeah. Like for somebody that, that if I watch you, I can try to replicate that. Maybe not is the same way you do the first time, but I'm going to do my best to catch up and do catch up. And so it's just there's always been somebody in all these things, the carving itself, the decoy painting, definitely the seaduck hunting and all the waterfowl hunting, the dogs. It's just always been there's always been somebody that's kind of stood out or stood up to take the time to show me and help me. So again, it kind of flips back to that's why I feel like I need to take a minute and try to answer people when they have legitimate questions.
Yeah, I've never been able to. I'm not a handy person. I'm just not, and that's there's things I'm good at. Sometimes it's just standing up in front of groups and talking, but I've always just been so fascinated with people who, and I don't know if it's the patience or just watching people hone their craft and seeing your videos evolve. Your YouTube channel has come so far, and they're everything that you're doing is just like you can watch it progress. It's really cool. And you recently did a series. It was like 4 segments about wanting to become a guide. Like, so you want to be a guide? Yeah,
it just kind of was like a little play on words. Yeah. So you want to be a guide, See,
there it is, that voice.
I kind of thought it would be just continue, like just, it didn't have to be 4 segments. I did 4 of that segment. But I just haven't sat down and done it anymore. I wasn't really sure which way to go with it. In the beginning, I thought it was a really cool way to share some stories, experiences. And some young guys from Rock Hall, last night start messaging me that they like how and what and how they want to guide, and so I just thought maybe it would be a good platform or a little series, if you will, YouTube series to just to try to share some of that stuff. So,
do you want to share the story? Because to me, it really spoke a lot of who you really are. The story about, and you talked about in the video, about the guy bringing the money out. Yeah,
he's still a friend. I haven't talked with him often, but he's actually from California. He's a retired federal waterfowl guy. And I've always asked him questions back and forth about, this and that, and, always wanted to do stuff above board. And, I think day in and day out, the only thing I still, to this day, I can't really, and you probably relate to what I'm going to say is that, I've got 4 guys on board. If everybody actively shoots, I truly don't know who shot what birds. I just don't. And it's, when you're fun hunting, you can do whatever you want to do, right? But with guiding, or even with fun hunting, it still stays true. It's a personal bag limit. It's not the blind limit or a boat limit or a group limit. Whatever the bag limit is, it's per person. And so I guess if you want to use the word steward of the resource, I guess that kind of puts me in that vein of like, I literally can't have somebody sit up in the bow and shoot. If the limit is 4 scoter, I have 4 guys, they can't sit up there and shoot 16 scoter. Once they shoot 4 birds, if 100% I know they've shot 4 birds, they're done shooting scoters because they are. When everybody's actively shooting, I can't tell. I don't know how you'd prove who shot what. That's I know there's some stories to try to maybe semi-entrap some guides that, everybody wasn't shooting live shells and the guide was shooting live shells and the guide shot way over his limit because he thought everybody else was just shooting and there's a true story in
wow.
there. But like spin this back to me. I mean, I was told that federal agents kind of travel in pairs. So one can break the law and the other can be the what's the word I want to use? The testifier, that's not it. The witness to the act, right? So really good morning. They shot it was a 5 bird limit, so they shot their seaducks. They shot their actually they shot probably more old squall than scoter, but they had their 5 birds each, 10 birds, and they cased their guns. And he's whipped out this wad $100 bill and he said, "Jeff, how much to shoot your limit?" I was like, "No, man, I'm good. We're good. Let's go." He's like, No. He's like, "No." And like now he's like starting on roll them and like count them off. He's like, "How much to shoot your limit?" I was like, "No, I'm good." He's like, "No, you don't understand." And then I kind of said, a little more strongly than what he did. It's like, "No, you don't understand." Yeah. You see, I said no. Now you're making this weird. You're not. It's my limit's not for sale. And maybe he was just a rich guy. I don't know. Yeah. But at the same time, like, they shot their birds and you're not going to shoot my birds too. And that was one of the things truly, I just stopped carrying a gun. So it wasn't, my limit never comes into play.
That's such a good, whenever I heard you tell that story, I was like, man, it speaks so much to me about how much you care about the resource, but also you truly love what you do and you wouldn't risk that for anything. It really does show your character, and I think that those are the things that we do when nobody's looking. Yeah,
it's the truth. That story with the guys, they were shooting geese, and I think it was 5 guys. It was a 32 bird limit, and basically they had the guide that he shot 32 geese, and it was on a federal game. It was on the internet, federal, like a bragging board. Like they went through the whole story about how they got this guy, and it's just like holy moly, man! Like it's I had some friends when the goose season, we had the moratorium through the 90s and they opened the goose season back up. It was a 1 bird limit. There's 4 guys in a pit. They all 4 still have their guns loaded. There's 3 geese and the game warden walks up and he's like, "All right, who am I writing the tickets to?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" "Well, you guys are done. You shot your bird. Why do you still have your guns loaded?" "Well, duck season's open. Snow goose is still open. Whatever. They went to court and fought it. Wow. And the judge agreed with them. Like, you guys are fine. But like there was a state game where it walked up on 4 guys that had 3 geese. It was a 1 bird limit, so they could have shot 1 more goose. And he's like, and the guns were loaded. He's like, "Who am I writing the tickets to?" And they're like, "What are you talking about? Writing tickets?" They went to court over it.
Yeah.
So,
I think that the majority of the hunters I've been around, and hopefully the ones that are on your boat, care enough. They're out there trophy hunting. They're hunting a bird of a lifetime, and they're coming in for that experience. And I hope that, they come out there not because they want to slaughter 25 ducks, but because they want to have that experience. And you talked about the experience that you had of getting up, leaving real early in the morning and going to Denny's. And do you see a correlation between how that happened for you to where you have now drawn your business to be part of? It's an experience. It's not just about the killing.
Yeah, for sure. I want to rewind just a second too. So the end of that, my little story that I got off on the tangent was if I would have said yes, in my mind, Your Honor, there is no confusion. We cased our guns and we offered Mr. Coates money and he took it and there is he didn't. This was like, to me, it was black and white. Right. It wasn't like a gray area where it just, happened or whatever. We cased our guns and asked him how much does he want, how much did he want? So.
Thank you for finishing that story.
Yeah,
Because I know that there's a lot of people that listen to the podcast that aren't as knowledgeable on the hunting aspect and the regulations. So thanks for like cleaning that up. That was
but in my
important.
mind, it was like cut and dry. Like they're going to be in front of a judge, like, Your Honor, this is what took place. It wasn't anything gray about it. It was black and white. If I said yes, what would have taken place? But so the adventure of it all. Yeah, I mean, guys, that I have local people that hunt with me that are driving a few hours away. Yes, I do. But generally and typically, I think of the seaduck hunting, surf scoter, black scoter, white wing scoter, surf, old squall, eider, whatever it may be. Getting back to being relative, everything's relative. Whatever they haven't shot, like guys are traveling from a great distance. I always say this: you could be the most avid waterfowl hunter from Ohio. Let's say Ohio's been a good state to me. You can shoot Canada geese there. You can shoot snow geese there. You can shoot all the puddle ducks. You can shoot diving ducks up on the lakes, right? But generally, typically, if you want to shoot sea ducks, it's all pretty much fresh water there. And I'm not saying a sea duck doesn't get shot in Ohio, but they got to travel, and it's an 8-hour drive for them to get here. 8 hours, 9 hours, depending on where they're from. And it's like an event. Like it's the adventure of like what I described when I first went, right? So they get their buddies together. Sometimes it's families, their husbands, wives, sons, daughters, whatever it is. And they pack up and they're on adventure. And they can get here in a day. They're going to get here the night before, spend the night. They want to go and enjoy generally. They want to enjoy seafood. So try to get them in a good direction of they can have a good experience there, and meet them first thing in the morning and just show them what in my mind what I do is all about, and just try to show the best experience. And again, they're going to be here for 2 or 3 days, so I want to make sure they go down to Aztec Island, see the ponies walking around, see the sitka deer walking around. The Ward Museum is to the west of us. Havigers Museum is not that far, the Equine Museum, and just try to make sure. I only do a morning hunt. I don't have a lodge, but I kind of want to give them the experience of the area. So I try to do my best just to make sure I point them in the right direction, and so they can really see all that there is to see here.
Yeah, that's such a man. It's all about the adventure, and I hope that some people who aren't hunters understand that. I don't know anybody that goes out. Like if I wanted to kill, if it was about killing, I'd go work at a chicken farm down the road. I'd pass like 100 of them on the way here. I would work there, but I don't. I have someone like you that gets up at 2:30 in the morning to take me out for this adventure.
Group from Illinois. I'd say that I would say he was in his early 60s. One of the groups, or one of the guys in the group, and it was a 3-day hunt. And on the third day, he went on to tell me about day 2. I mean, he was telling me about he never goes on guided hunts. This is his first guided hunt. And day 3, he's going to explain to me is for the money that he spent from Illinois to here to home, everything that was encompassed. He says, I can go to South Dakota for 10 days and hunt on my own. And I said, hey man, that's great. I said, how many surf scoters can you shoot in South Dakota?
Good for you. That's a burn.
No, but I mean, like you never know who you got, and it is really all relative. But he says, this is my first guided hunt. Right. He was in his early 60s I've ever been on. He said, I don't pay to go hunt, and I want you to know for the amount of money that I've spent. He says, I can go 10 days in South Dakota. I said, yeah. I said, and more of what I was trying to say is it the same experience? Can you, are you going to sit in the Atlantic Ocean in South Dakota? And no, you're not. Are you going to see all the sea ducks that we've seen? Probably not.
Are you eating Maryland blue crabs and oyster stew and all the things that are the shore? It's
so it is very relative. But that was a little from this past season, a little anecdotal story there that he's like, for the money I spent, he says, I could be in South Dakota for 10 days.
Man. And we're coming back next year. We're signing up right away. It really is. It's relative. And after we hunted with you, and you're like, it's all relative.
It is.
And that really that's planted that seed in my mind where I was like, man, I just need to start to think about how things are relative and things that I value and things that the people I spend my time with value. So you're the guy that people come to for their dream duck hunt, and that was part of me coming and hunting with you. And it was more than just coming for surf coaches hunting with Jeff, and getting to meet you and see what it is that this is all about. What's Jeff's dream hunt?
Man, at the moment, still,
yeah.
I really want to go. I want to shoot black brand in Mexico. I think that's still atop of my list.
Black brand,
Pacific brand, black brand. So
no,
we have Atlantic brand
Atlantic.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, Atlantic brand here, and the black brand is just a little bit of a darker bird. Kind of their bellies, the side pockets kind of go into their bellies. They're very dark. A little bit, the neck collar's a little different on them. similar but different but similar, kind of thing from Atlantic to Pacific. And but yeah, and again, it would be more about the adventure of it's something you can do right now. Like this time, like I could do it in February into early March. So there's still a big number of them down there. And actually on Instagram, I've been following along with a couple of guys that are shooting them pretty good. So, but that would probably be at the moment, that would probably be of everything I've done. You're saying like people are coming to me for a bucket list bird. I've went to St. Paul Island to shoot a king eider. So I mean, I've went other places to shoot that bird, whatever that bird might be, right? I've been fortunate over the years. I don't know.
Yeah, I love dogs.
I don't know if that's Duke or Rye, but anyway, we had a little TV show, Ducks, Dogs, and Decoys, and that afforded me. I was very fortunate. That afforded me to go many places. I have not hunted every state in the United States, but kind of from Alaska to Florida to Prince Edward Island, as far as far east you can drive in Canada. Did the Delta Marsh one time. I've Pacific Northwest, shot the Harlequin out there. Again, it's a bucket list bird. You can only shoot one a season in the state of Washington, and there you go. So I mean, and again, so you said that somewhere in there about like what's kind of honed my skills, and it's really going to the other places and seeing how other people handle themselves. You're taking notes here. Man, that's in my mind. Man, I like that. I didn't know that.
Okay.
It's behind you sitting. It's a very faded orange box, but that wasn't. I have to admit that was not an original thought. Like I went someplace and the guy had a little Pelican case. He's like, here's, cell phones weren't as prevalent. Maybe his old flip phones and stuff, but he had his cell phone in there and all this different. I've added a few things to the box that he didn't have, but the general having that box was not my original idea, and I learned that from somebody. The flip side of that is there's stuff I've seen. It's like, holy moly, I can't even believe that the God even did that. Like, oh man, like, a banded goose gets shot in Canada, and like they're arguing that it's their bird, kind of thing.
The guy with no gun.
Well, but they were shooting with the party, and that's like, again, like, man, you guys are setting yourself up for just negativeness here, right? So. Yeah, again, I've been fortunate. Haven't been every place and done everything, but I've been in quite a few places, done quite a few things, and I've kind of taken the good and the bad, if you will, from that, and just kind of add that to what I do. Yeah,
Jeff. Whenever we hunted with Jeff, we were kind of doing the same thing, just sitting around shooting the stuff, and right over Jeff's left shoulder right now is a Harlequin duck mount. And for those of you that know, I have a dog, and her name is Quinn. She's a Draghar. And that, for me, is one of those, bucket. I don't even care if she retrieves it, but it's just one of those things that it's that experience of going and getting away from shooting a mallard in Pennsylvania or on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. And it's not that – I mean, they're beautiful ducks. They're absolutely beautiful. They don't even look real. They just look like they belong in a Dr. Seuss book.
They're blue.
They are like a steel blue.
It's kind of dirty, but
white. They're a beautiful. They're a beautiful species.
Yep. For those that don't know, on the East Coast, Harlequin is closed. So even though we see them here, we've had them decoy. It's a species that's closed, so you cannot shoot them. The state of Washington, it's one bird per season, so not one a day. It's one. You shoot a bird and you're done. And then non-residents in Alaska can shoot 4 a season.
4 per season.
Yeah, so that's really, if you want to shoot a Harlequin, you really got to go to Washington or Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, long haul for that. But that goes back to the thing, like you were talking, the adventure of all of it. It's all encompassing.
I'm sure that somebody is not. If any particular people listen to this little story of I enjoyed being on St. Paul Island because I got to get on all the crab boats. That was the high. Okay, king eider, it was cool. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed getting on the crab boats.
You get the whole way there to get on the crab boats.
Yeah, man. It's January. It's cold as can be. There's ice everywhere. I'm standing down on the docks with shorts on, not flip flops. Had Crocs on there just because it was a little on the wet side. But and they'd be like looking at me like, well, what are you doing? And they're like, what are you guys doing? And, we started talking stories like, come on, get on board, man. And it's like they were just as nice as can be, and just seeing like all the. I can't say all the boats that you'd see on TV, but I mean we saw a lot of the boats that we see on TV, and it was just. And again, shooting the and there were Harlequin there too, but shooting the king, it's a very vivid memory. I do have I do have it as a very vivid memory, but honestly, I probably remember the crab boats maybe just a little bit more.
Who were you with up there?
Well, we were filming for the D3
for the
Ducks, Dogs, and Decoys.
Ducks, Dogs, and Decoys.
Yeah,
okay,
and it was actually a group of about 8 of us, and mixed group of guys. And there was at the one time I'm sorry, not at one time. At that time, there was only one guide service there. Now I think they've kind of split up and there's two guide services there. But I see the pictures. Nowadays, they still shoot a lot of them there. Our particular hunt, not everybody shot a drake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just kind of I kind of liken it to maybe like September Canada goose hunting. If you got a pond on or you got an area where there's a bunch of birds and you shoot those birds, you either killed them or you ran them out. Until some other birds show up, you're not going to see anything. And on St. Paul Island, there was, like, in my mind, 3 distinctive places to hunt. And if the birds weren't there, even though you could go find birds other parts of the island, there's these cliffs and like they were unhuntable. So in the 3 locations that you got, if they're not there, like my friends that were there, we kind of crossed paths. They were there right before us. They would have told you it was the greatest thing. They got on a boat. They shot 4 Drake Kings decoying just like you thought it thought it should be, and it just wasn't that way for us. Just because nothing wrong, wasn't any issue with what the guy did. Right. It's just it was the conditions, and again until some other birds move into the area, it's just it is what it is.
You can only do so much as a guide and hunter. Yep. I've had plenty of days where I've walked really far and not pulled the trigger, but I think that the appreciation for that adventure is what makes the story, even if you don't pull the trigger. What do you think it is that brings you the most joy out of your job? And I say job, but like you're a hunting guide and you work incredibly hard at what you do, but it's how you make your living.
Yeah, I think showing somebody, young or old, it doesn't really matter their age, but just showing somebody the experience of something they haven't done before. Because, more than often than not, there's like sincere happiness of like, wow, look at this bill on this thing. Look at this bird. And I just thought they were black. And you get all those kinds of things. Or somebody shoot a banded scoter. We shot 2 this year, and in all my years that was number 9 and number 10. So the bands are very very few and far between. So somebody shoots a banded one, that's even a bigger deal. But yeah, just kind of showing somebody something that they don't normally get to experience, I think is what it is. And generally, typically, everybody's in a really good spirit and really good mood, and fits right into the mode of what we're trying to do. I have had people seem like they kind of fighting amongst them, not really with me, but fighting amongst themselves that somebody's not happy, whatever. I don't know all the dynamics of everybody that's on board, but you can kind of tell when things aren't smooth. You can kind of read on that sometimes. But generally, that's a very small percentage of in a year's time. A very small percentage of what I experience. Yeah,
so you talked, I don't know if we mentioned it recently, but you were talking about how you don't really carry a gun anymore. And I think that it shows how much you care about giving this, the experience to your customers.
But again, it's about you shooting, not me. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not there to outshoot you or, if you only have 3 birds and you guys shot 100 shells,
that's on you.
You shot a lot of shells. It's a 4 or 5 bird limit, so you kind of like coulda, shoulda, woulda. But like, I'm not there to put the birds. I have some another friend that's snow goose guys, and like he shoots right along with the party because it's a 20 bird limit or it's unlimited, right? So it doesn't really matter, right? And that's a lot of with the snow geese. It is about
numbers.
It is about numbers. But in this case, I've had groups that like they shoot them one at a time. And they literally, here comes a group of birds in, and one guy's going to shoot one bird because he wants to know that drake is his bird, and even though it's on and the birds are flying really good, we might have to sit there till noon for them to get their 12 or 16 drakes because that's the way they want to hunt them. The flip side of it is, I've even said, slow down, 3 volleys, they got all the birds they want. Like I never even. It took me longer to put the decoys out and pick them up than it did for them to shoot them because three bunches come in, they blew them up, and they're done.
A couple train wrecks.
Yeah, and they think but that's what's again back to things are relative. That's what makes the hunt for them. They thought that was the greatest thing in the world, And I'm even like after the second volley, guys, you only have a couple more. Slow down. Here comes some more. Load up. Boom, 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 boom. They're done. So
back at Wawa getting coffee.
So I guess really I probably should be thankful, but I kind of I have a conscience and like. You don't have to shoot them that fast. You can take your time.
Yeah. Is that the old bull and the young bull?
Yeah. I do say that story quite often.
Yeah. I know that, we got, this was a new experience for us. And we, we didn't know what entirely to expect. And, everybody wants to, shoot mature drakes and do this and do that, but it's such a unique, and I'm so glad that we hunted 2 days in a row, because the first day was like the first time you were with a girl, and it was just like you didn't know what to do,
right.
And all of a sudden it was over. And the second day we were a lot more relaxed, and we could really enjoy the camaraderie of all of it so much more than the first day. So
talking about that with drakes and things, I mean, there's nothing. I get this question a lot. It seems like on Instagram, like why are you only said the drakes on the right or the drakes on the left? Like, can't you shoot the brown ones? Yeah, I mean, they're all Skoda. You can shoot whatever you want, but at the end of the day, I'd rather line up 16 or 20 colorful birds versus just that if there's a choice, and anybody can shoot whatever they want to shoot, but I'm always trying to help people pick out the birds come in. Hey, the two in the center, or at low light, the first half an hour, 45 minutes. Sometimes the light's not right, and you can't really see what's what. And I'm always just especially with the videos I do, you hear me say, hey, the drake's on the right, or the two outside birds, or the back birds, or whatever. And I'll have people question me like, is it illegal to shoot brown ones or hens? Like, no, you can shoot them. It's just I just always try to help people pick out what they maybe came after.
Yeah,
that's all. And a lot of times, still okay. The drake is there, but I'm not really sure because it's still dark. I don't know. Is it a common Skoda or is it a surf Skoda? I don't know. But that was the drake. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and you're so used to seeing the same kind of birds. Your eye is so good, and I have pretty good eyes. But it was like, man, it was really difficult for me as a newcomer to this event. And just to see, like, birds are so far out there, and you're like, Drake's on the right. And I'm like, what's this guy do? Like, is he binoculars?
A lot of times too, it's like it's just a size difference. The bigger bird will generally is going to be the drake, and so at a distance, that's kind of a telltale. And it sounds silly to say, the drakes are blacker. They look all dark, right? But the bird that is the blackest, that doesn't. It takes Skoda 3 years to become 100% mature. Skoda do not have eclipsing plumage, so once they're over 3 years old, drakes look like they look all year long.
I didn't know that before we hunted with you. I had no idea. I was like, they must change.
That's the only duck.
No kidding.
Even like old squaw, kind of what's white's black, black's white kind of thing in summertime to wintertime, and there's. I'm told, and I don't know if any of the ducks that don't, but like Skoda is the only bird that does not have eclipsing plumage once they're 3 years old.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of days after we hunted with you. That guy shot a beautiful old squaw, real nice. I don't know if it's a sprig or a pin or whatever you want to call it. It was just a beautiful duck. It was good to see somebody. The ones that we shot weren't that weren't very mature. They were still trophies. The one thing that we were talking about earlier, and I talked about the podcast and how it helps me to stay connected with the community and stay myself. It really does help me. What do you do once hunting season's over? How do you kind of navigate back to Jeff? Like it's
I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Like to me, like truly, and I'm not to I'm not joking when I say it, but I mean it's not like I want to go put a gun to my head. But I mean, like February, as soon as the season's over, like there is some depression in my life of like, it was go, 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 especially in a 107-day season. It started, October 15th or so and went all the way to the end of January. So there was a lot of days in there where like, 6 or 7 days a week I'm doing this and I'm, go, 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 go. I thrive off of doing this. And all of a sudden, man, I'm waking up at 2:30 in the morning in February, like, I need to go back to sleep because there's nothing to do. Like I don't have, I just, sometimes I get on the computer. I will maybe edit some video or catch up on a few things. But definitely, man, like my main goal or my main activity for the past couple, the past 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever it's been, like it's gone and I'm not doing it anymore. So there is a little bit of a switch over where it does take me. Take me a little bit to get going, and and generally, February is still cool here, so it's not, to get out here and really, bust out something and really get busy with it. It takes transition. It just really does take me, it takes me a while. I'm always jokingly say I'm glad February is the shortest month of the year because like I need to get out of February fast. A couple years ago, twice I took advantage of New Brunswick. Has a seaduck, a February seaduck season, late seaduck season. And I did go up there, and we took advantage of that. So that, that kind of not that I was guiding there, but that was still a little bit of an adventure and a nice trip to do. But generally, typically, I don't snow goose hunt. I mean, I know guys are still chasing snow geese now in the conservation season and all, but out of all 12 months, February is the worst month in my calendar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they get Valentine's Day, and we get to do whatever we can to keep them happy for it. I think that this year I started a new tradition of the post hunting season. Thank you, and this is my weekend of appreciation to Elise, and I think that I need to start getting all the hunters on board. Like, hey guys, you don't have to do a Valentine's Day thing, but just go away for a weekend with your significant other. Whenever we were talking about that, as I grow into myself and learn more about myself, it's really helped me. And we were talking a little bit about how you get the goal, or you get to the end of the season, you get depressed, or you just feel down, or you feel kind of lost, like I do. It definitely helps to understand that other people are going through the same thing. And I think that one of the hard parts about social media is where I'm comparing my life to other people's highlight reels. And man, I've made some big mistakes. And I made a mistake today at work that I should have prevented, which has turned into a fantastic positive, where I'm now sitting in Jeff Coates' garage, interviewing somebody that I've wanted to do for a long time. But it really, it's hard to connect to the rest of the person's life.
Maybe I should rewind a second too. Like I did do not to make fun of anybody. I said, put a gun to my head. I mean, maybe that's a little,
yeah.
But I mean, definitely, I guess maybe it would be feel the word blue. I guess that's kind of a, I won't say a medical term, but kind of a term that would describe how
February
you feel.
blues.
Yeah, just kind of like you just feel off, feel down, don't feel like the energy that I had, and it kind of is what it is. But I don't mean to make fun of anybody that.
Yeah.
About putting guns to heads and suicide and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, it is definitely. I definitely do feel a change in my mental psyche, my mental health.
Yeah, and I think after I came home from these two hikes, I felt like I'd accomplished the goal. Now what? No, I didn't have that direction, and it just helps to know that other people are out there doing the same thing. Like, man, everybody's going through it. Everybody has their own internal struggles, and the more I grow and begin to understand myself, it helps me to understand other people too. Like, man, everybody's got their own struggle. Like, people got great lives. I have a fantastic life. I couldn't ask for more. I could, but I don't need more. And it's comforting to know that, like, hey, everybody kind of struggles, and we don't see that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just like social media generally. I mean, there is. I did post up. We were in the hospital room the other morning, and I did post that up. I did it playfully in my mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, generally on social media, like, you see some nastiness, stitches or fish hooks, or some kind of somebody got pulled over or something like that. But I mean, generally, typically, it's all about all the good stuff in people's lives, and you don't see maybe what the kind of what some of the more the negative stuff that's happening or going on. But anyway, always try to stay on the happy side of things.
Yeah, I think that you get back what you give, and the positivity and the stewardship that you show for the hunting community and Pitboss grills and everybody that you surround yourself with. You get that stuff back. It's
try to. Yeah.
It's so good to see all that positive stuff out there and know, hey man, like, Jeff's got struggles too. Everybody does. Don't don't put yourself out of that.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
Nah, just there's a little side story to that. Just about how, at least in my personal life, like I need to stay on task and stay on track. I can remember flushing the motor out, and I don't know, I was busy rushing to feed the dog, something, and I went back down the next morning and fired the boat up. And it's a little bit of ice, got the boat in the water, a little bit of ice, and fired the thing up, and like I'm looking for always kind of just check to see if the motor is, quote, peeing. And it wasn't. I guess it took it a while too, right? So I go and I let it warm up, and I go park the truck and all, and come back and jump in the boat, and like there's water pouring out of the back of the motor, and I'm like thinking, oh man, this is looking like catastrophic here. There's like, this is all coming out the exhaust, or what's what? And it dawned on me, I didn't put the freaking plug back in the flush out plug on the back of the motor. I'm like, oh man, like this is going to look like this is my first time I've ever operated a boat or duck hunted or whatever. I was embarrassed. I was truly embarrassed, and usually that stuff doesn't happen to me. And I made point to tell a friend that always telling me the bad stuff happens to him as I'm driving back. Well, first off, thankfully to Karen, gave her an early morning wake up call. I was like, Karen, I was like, can you go? There's a black plug sitting in the driveway. It's got to be there. And she took a picture of it. And I said, yep, she's on my way. So she was headed, and she gave me the wrench to put it back in. So she's headed down, and I was again very embarrassed with my party, and because the stuff just doesn't, happens to other guys, not me, and but it did happen to me that morning, and so I hitched the trailer real quick just because I thought I could drive faster without the trailer, and it didn't. I don't think we were about 40. Probably all total we lost about 40 minutes to the morning. They still shot their birds, and it was all good. But again, they did say they sat, saw a really pretty sunrise, and but yeah, I was definitely quite embarrassed. But again, Karen was she was on board, and I'm headed your way. Is this all you need? Yep, that's all I need.
Yeah. Infinite support.
Yeah, so that was a good morning. That was a good morning. I don't know how I got into that story, but bad stuff happens. Bad stuff happens. I don't think I posted up anywhere like, hey, this morning I left out the flush plug in the back of the Suzuki. Anyway, I thought it was cold enough, truthfully. I was like, let's just run with it. Let's see, maybe there's enough water pressure that's going to stay in this thing. And we didn't go about, 50 yards and the thing overheated. So I was like, it's not going to work out the way I want it to.
Yeah, you had mentioned earlier about mentors. So I had to call my mentor today, who I was actually working for with the client. And I had to tell him how I messed up today. And during that conversation, the client was understanding, and you're just like your clients. It was part of their experience. They shot their limit. They got a beautiful sunrise out of it. Our client was very understanding, and I told him, and I didn't think about it. Just one of those things, like thinking of you, we are. It just popped out of my mouth, and I said that the most painful lessons are the ones that we never forget. And I'm sure that was the last time that you let that happen.
Well, it's going to be. I mean, I always take the drain plug out of the boat, and that's I'll tell you this: when I'm undoing the straps, even though I know, even because I put it in, mine screws in, wrench it in, and I do it as soon as when I go out. I let the dogs out. It's one of the first things I do in the morning. And when I'm at the ramp, I'm undoing the straps. So I always look, although I know I did it, I'm very conscious to make sure it's in there, and I'm always looking to make sure it's there, right? And I really felt like this, just an idiot, basically. Yeah. Like, how did I? And again, it was just rushing around here at the house, and the thing was laying right, it was windy or whatever overnight, and I just, I would have probably saw it in the morning when I put the plug in, except it rolled, a little piece of black plastic rolled off, and it was gone in the driveway, and I just never saw it, and out of sight, out of mind. I totally forgot. So.
Yeah. And the first text I sent to Jeff talked to him today whenever I was like, hey, I had to eat some crow today. So it does happen. And it really brings it full circle for people to hear about those things. And man, we learn lessons every day. And I think that maybe I should do a better job of like talking about the lessons that I've learned, because man, I've made some big fat mistakes. And this isn't even the first time I made a mistake for my own mentor. And it's hard. But one thing I've done is as soon as it's happened, man, I owned up to it. I told the client, I said, this is on me. I own this. This is my fault, and I apologize. And I told my mentor last time, I was like, yeah, I screwed up. And instead of letting it get me down, it was always received very well, just like your clients. And man, good thing you got Karen's support.
Yeah, it's definitely saved us a lot of time for sure.
Yeah, good stuff.
But that was another. I can't say a low moment of this season, but it was definitely an off moment from the season for sure.
Yeah. So I know that you have a trip coming up, but what are you looking forward to the most? I know, now we're done, we're post hunting season. We're going to get into fishing season before we get back into hunting season. What are you the most excited about, or what are you the most eager to see happen the next 12 months?
#PitbossXX. Seasoned 20 seasons. So yeah, next year's going to be the 20th year. So we got a big giveaway and a big contest and giveaway going on. So it'll kick off officially, right as fishing does. We're going to take Karen's from Australia, so we're going to take a quick run. I can't say it's a quick run because I already told you how many hours it takes to get there. We're going to go to Australia for a little while. I hope to make some nice videos from there. It's a beautiful place. I tell people this all the time. I could live there. I'm just not sure what I would do there. It never gets, we're on the Gold Coast. It never gets cold, and but just some beautiful, beautiful water. And maybe if I ever grow up, and I'm older, it'd be a nice place to.
I'm shaking my head. Don't do it, Jeff.
It would be a nice place. I would definitely fish is what I could do there for sure. But they're not big into hunting in Australia. But anyway, we're gonna go to Australia. Karen get to see her family. It's a good thing. Try to get back there, at least every 2 years or so. And then once we get back, man, the fishing should be good. I kind of hinted before about a bigger boat, so I don't think I can get there before we leave to Australia. But when I get back, it's going to take a quick little plane ride. I need to go check out a 25-foot boat. We're going to move up to possibly a 32-foot.
32 foot.
Yeah, 32 feet. It's the biggest duck boat in the world.
That's a party boat, man. That's 32 foot.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you were talking about it.
You got big plans for it.
I do have
32 foot.
I'm always thinking ahead. You got to stay ahead of the curve, right?
I like it.
So that'll happen when we get, when I get back. I think I'm going to do that solo. I don't think Karen's going to make that trip with me just because they're all her time. But yeah, as soon as we get back, man, the temperature should be good. And excuse me, the water here warms up pretty quickly. And we call them rockfish, but the small striped bass. We'll be catching those. Good flounder run will kick in, and then just as the summer goes on, the water gets warmer, and there's just more and more opportunity to fish. Our fishing boat, the Bad Influence, it's still for sale, so we still we still want a bigger boat.
It's for sale? What is it?
It's a 29-foot center console. It's got a bracket, hangs off the back, so it's a little longer than 29 feet, but the hull itself's 29 feet. And we just like to get ourselves more of like a 35, probably right around 35-foot, like Carolina, what would be considered a Carolina Express, just more of an offshore fishing boat. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but that's something in the works of possibly just switching up duck boats, also maybe switching up fishing boats. And then I got a lot of decoys to carve. Need to get ready for the season gets here quickly. So once we that's in my mind too. So we've got a little bit of juggling to do because the contest giveaway, it's going to be social media based, and it's going to run all the way through the end of September. We're going to give away. We actually picked the 4 winners at Molly's Sporting Goods, out Molly's Place Sporting Goods up in Kennedyville, Maryland. They have their open house weekend at the end of September, so we'll pick the winners up out there. But we got Molly's going to be a big part of it. Rete Shotguns is going to be a big part of it. We're giving away 4 brand new 3.5-inch 12-gauge Retes, so that's probably the headliner of all the items that are in the giveaway. We got a nice Drake Waterfowl package, and then I'm going to forget. There's a bunch more. It seems almost like each day we pick up somebody else new, but it's going to be close to probably per person. It's probably going to be close to being about a $5,000. If I can make it more, I want to, but I think currently we're right at about $5,000. That the package will be, I guess, retail value, if you want to say that. And so we want to have a lot of fun with that through the summer. We want to start cooking. We want to fire the grill back up, which we cook during the winter too. Yeah. But especially some events with Pitboss. Pitboss Grills got that, and my good friend Dave Messick, Hooked on OC producer, because I'm always saying I'm busy. He says, it's good to say you're busy. He says, but you got to say you're explaining and not complaining. So just when I say I'm busy, I'm just explaining, and I'm not complaining. So it's better to be busy than not be busy.
I like that. Explaining, not complaining. Because I'm like, I'm saying this, but I like it. Like, I like my life. Yeah.
But that's what he did tell me. He's like, hey, man, you got to start saying, it's you're explaining, you're not complaining.
Yeah. No, that's good.
That's anyway, I have to take that from his, give him credit for that saying.
Yeah. You do so much, the Hooked on OC. It's so good to see you, as a figurehead with them and such a good relationship. And once again, like always just promoting everybody and everything. You're such a fantastic ambassador.
Thank you.
So much.
It is Dave Messick. Hooked on OC, or Unseen Productions is Hooked on OC. That's Dave's production. Scott Lennox, Fishing OC. Scott's the guy in front of the camera. So they're good friends of mine, and they do invite me along to do a lot of things with them. As far as me being in front of the camera, the Drake Waterfowl's Migration Nation. Mm-hmm. This year they're kicking off. Right here is actually trademarked. I was looking on the book. Guns down, rods up. Our little saying with the brand hunt the other day is rods down, guns up. So that's We can't say guns down, rods up because that's trademarked.
Oh.
But anyway, that's Drake Performance Fishing. That's a new thing this year, and we actually. The technical term is killed, but we did kill a 550-pound bluefin tuna. That'll be
harvested.
Yeah, we harvested it.
It was gigantic.
We got to eat the tail.
He was huge.
He was a big fish. Biggest fish I've ever seen. I've seen some big sharks, but that was as far as getting something aboard. But anyway, that'll be. I think that's going to be their scheduled to be their first the first episode of the Drake Performance Fishing guns down and rods up. But I am one of the hosts for Migration Nation, and so that does keep me. That's where I do my majority of hunting. Really, of that I actually get to shoot. And this coming season, I'm not sure where we're going to be hunting this coming season, but the actual episodes will air. We went to Prince Edward Island, Canada last October, and that's where we bluefin tuna fished also. But we got a bunch of we got some good footage. Canada geese. Cool. Prince Edward Island is just a beautiful I can't say country, but country in the sense of the terrain there is just a beautiful place.
Didn't you shoot a beautiful black duck up there?
Yeah, black ducks. Yep, the black duck limit there. It just always gets a wow from everybody. It's this year it was 6 birds.
Six
birds.
6 black ducks.
Yeah, 6 black ducks.
Man, they're so pretty. I have one of my favorite mounts is a black duck that my dog retrieved. It was fantastic.
We attempted to film some good water hunts, and it just never. The black duck we shot were actually first thing in the morning in in a dry field over Canada goose decoys, really. But it was about the adventure, man. It was just a super. Had some really good friends there, believe it or not. That all the way in Prince Edward Island. That some good friends over the years that I've made, and it's the whole experience was just a good adventure. Picked up the rye puppy along the way.
That's right. You got the pup.
Yep, she was 7 months old. We picked her up in Maine as we went across, so we picked her up. And a little side story there for the TV show. But yeah, we got Rye's. She's 6 months old. Last Tuesday, I guess she's 6 months old. And but anyway, we picked her up along the way. So just lots of there was lots of good things from that.
Yeah.
And Karen went along. She enjoyed herself there, so it's just all good.
Yeah, was that her first time up there?
First time in Canada, period, I believe. But definitely Prince Edward Island.
Nice.
I think it was her first time in Canada.
Yeah. And one thing that's really cool, you have Karen involved in your videos, and you're like videoing Karen cooking on the Pitboss. It's so cool, but it was really neat to see that Karen got her first brand this year. You want to talk about that?
Yep, went down that and we took Rye along, and like I said, as it happened, arguably maybe we shouldn't have had Rye along because she was. I guess she would have been like 4.5 months old or whatever in there, something like 18 weeks or whatever it was, and but she did fine, and just the whole thing was a pretty cool experience, and Karen was happy that she went and got a couple recipes and she soaked them and marinated them and she cooked them, and it was they were good.
Cool. That was like the icing on the experience, man. That's so cool. I saw you post that picture. I was like, man, that's good for you guys. She's
ready to do it again. We were going to get right there at the end of the season. She had a day off or two, and the wind was such, and we never got back down there and did it again. Yeah. But she's just if for nothing else with Rye, with training her, and she's all about she wants to see her get work. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, good stuff, man. That. I saw that, and it's there's certain times like you feel like you see somebody on Instagram, and as much as you post, you feel like somebody, and like the people, or like at least I get the feeling like, man, I feel good about seeing the goodness in your life, seeing that relationship and seeing like, oh man, that's so cool, because I know what it's like to have somebody shoot their first turkey or their first brand, which that's on our list for next year. So keep that in mind. I will. Well, not all the days are going to be seaduck hunting.
It's only going to be a 30-day season out here next year. So
is it?
Yeah, they're going to. Side note: Brant, for everyone listening, is the only bird. I think it's the only bird. In my mind, it's the only bird that they actually do next year's season on this year's winter count. So they don't spend a lot of time and money going up on the nesting ground and count Brant. They base the numbers on what the population is, now.
Right.
And then they figure, well, hey, there's going to be so much reproduction to it or addition to it, but they just basically do the winter count. I was talking with my friend in the state of Maryland the other day, and he said the count that they say the population on the East Coast is 110,000 birds. So instead of being a 45-day 2 birds, they're going to drop it back to 30 days. He says he thinks it'll still be 2 birds, but it's definitely going to be 30 days.
Do you know, this is a personal question, do you know if that's going to be during December still? Is that going to be
I think it's going to be the last 30 days of the season. And that's why actually we were just talking, they kind of wanted to get my my mindset or my input of like when would be the best. What's the best 30 days? And I was like, yeah, I think that the last 30 days.
I think we'll miss it because we're like the.
I think you probably will just miss it by a little bit.
I can always come back. I don't. Not that I needed another excuse to come back. So,
but yeah, I think it little footnote to the whole brand thing. It's only going to be 30 days next year.
Okay, man, they're tightening it up. But I think that whenever we had discussed the one bird goose limit next year, that you were such a steward for the species in your comments.
Well, we were talking about I mean, so sea ducks, for those that don't know it, this was the third year of the reduced 107 days to only 60 days. And the reason for the 107 days, so in our regular duck season on the East Coast, it could be a 30-day season, 45-day season, or a 60-day season. And we've been fortunate over the last couple of years, it's been 60 days. Well, the sea duck season's always been 107. And they gave this 107-day season, the beginning of October to the end of January, because it was an underutilized resource that they wanted people to be able to utilize. Because guys are just going out and shooting regular ducks and geese and whatever. They wanted to have some other times in there when those seasons are closed that guys can take advantage of it. And back through the 70s and 80s, there weren't a whole lot of people shooting. We didn't have all these, all the fancy boats, all the layout boats, all the interest, and on and on and on. And nowadays it really has changed up. So maybe it's not through hunters, maybe it's not the most popular thing for me to say, but like. I would think the reduction is a good thing. If you have the birds, if you have the resources, best interest at heart, probably is a good thing.
Thank you for saying it that way, because you are such a steward, and you're like, look, we have to do it for the species.
It's not an unlimited resource. There's a finite number of whatever the animal is, right? There's only so many of them. There may be a lot of them, but it's definitely there is a limit to how many there truly are. And there's just more and more people doing it, and it's. I've debated this with a couple friends. We're like, oh man, they're just going to close sea ducks down, whatever. And I mean, friends at the state, I was telling them the same thing. To me, it's about the opportunity to go. So I'd rather you drop the bag limit and still have the opportunity to go, right, than not. And my quick example is like, there's guys that go, they have to buy a 3-day hunt and go to Washington to shoot one bird, right? So if you said, hey, it's a one surf scoter limit. Although it may take it a season or two to cycle through, there's people that have not shot a surf scoter. So guess what? There's going to be people still lined up and still calling to say they want to go shoot a surf scoter or shoot whatever the bird is, even if it's a reduced, it's a reduced limit. The state of Washington, they can't even their sea duck limit or their scoter limit, has been reduced to only 2 birds, so they can't even have the opportunity to shoot all 3. They can't a surf, a black, or a white wing in the same hunt because they can only shoot 2 birds, not 3.
Wow.
So that was
wow. They can't get their slam.
No, not in one hunt.
Not in one hunt.
Yep.
Wow.
So when I was fortunate back in the day when I was out there, like the Barrow's Goldeneye is probably my favorite duck, and it was a 7-bird limit. Well, now the Barrow's Goldeneye is a 2-bird limit. So it's just again, I think it is a good thing. Again, if you have the resources, best interest at heart, it's because once you kill them. I always still like to say, joking around, that there's still a Labrador duck or 2 flying around. But, probably, I think if you can kind of research a little bit, I think they say 1845 or 1849 was the last one shot on Long Island, which it's still kind of cool to think. Well, there's areas that there's still probably a couple out there flying around.
Yeah, one thing. Have you read the book? I think it's Outlaw Gunner. It's like I don't know when it was, maybe the 50s or something. It was put out.
I have it upstairs.
Yeah, I have a copy of it somewhere buried in a box, and I highly recommend that for a lot of people who don't understand about how fragile the resource is. I knew you would have it up. I'm you got it. Yeah, but again, with all this stuff, I mean, it's a finite. There is only a certain number of whatever. It's not like it's unlimited. I mean, probably on the earth you pick whatever the subject matter is. There is only so much of it. So many of them, or so much of it. Whether it be gas, oil, name me the whatever. Sand.
Name her but still, I mean, there's only so much of it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's all kind of. I am going to sound old and say it's all relative, though. So what's a lot to somebody may not be a lot to somebody else, and somebody else might have a different definition of what a lot is, right?
Yeah, I know. Even as a Pennsylvania resident and a hunter in Pennsylvania, the deer population. In my lifetime, I've been hunting deer for like 24 years now, and I've seen so many just swings, and these populations go up and they go down, and regardless of who you blame, we have to manage the resource and keep the resource in our number one foremost in our mind. So yeah, good stuff. Now there's people that don't hunt that listen to the podcast, and you also run the Bad Influence. So you also run fishing trips out of Ocean City, right?
We do.
Okay. Do you want to talk about those?
Catch and release. So it's not all about killing, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is light tackle shark fishing, and it's all catch and release. Big old, not a big old circle hook, but a circle hook. I even bend the barb off the circle hook so all the hooks come out, and pretty much I can't say they may have a piercing in their jaw, the side of their face, but I mean generally and typically, the fish get released and they get to live to get caught another day. Now flounder, tuna, and mahi, some of those are not going to make it back. They're not going to get released, and they're going to be enjoyed. But yeah, just like I was saying about through the months of March, April, May, and throughout the summer until we really get to October, there's always something to be caught and something we like to go after. Yeah. I'm going to try to get over on the bay this year on Chesapeake Bay for that the rockfish, the striped bass, the trophy season they have. Last year,
those guys in the van are looking for us.
She may let the dogs out the front. Last year we did not do well in the trophy season, but when we get back over there, April 15th that'll start, and we just do hourly fishing once we get once the vacationers, once we get Memorial Day to Labor Day, that's the busiest time with the hourly fishing. Schools are off. It's a lot of families. Karen, I have to tip my hat to her on this. She got us on for the fishing. She got us on TripAdvisor. So I get a lot of, I'd get a phone call right now for tomorrow. Say, hey, what do we're here in town. What do you have? You got any fishing open tomorrow? Cool. So we do try to stay busy with the fishing. Fishing is much different than the waterfowl, in many different ways. But primarily, it took me a little bit to figure this out. Is you're going to come here to waterfowl hunt, and by the way, when we're here, what else can we do? Well, people come to Ocean City to vacation. And once they get here, by the way, what else can we go do? They want to go parasail, they want to rent jet skis. Hey, let's go fishing. So it's just more of, I'm not saying that people aren't serious about catching, but we've caught some nice fish that they're like, we can let it go kind of thing. And, nice, keeper flounder. And like, we're not, we're in a hotel. We'll just let them go, that kind of thing. So it's just more about the experience, which I guess the waterfowling is too, except, there is a finality to, when you hunt versus hunting versus fishing, there's a finality in hunting. Yeah.
It's almost like you've adapted to the summertime a la carte. Yeah. You're providing an additional service that you're not necessarily, I'm sure people come here just to fish with you, but now you're out there to where people are like, oh, what can we do? Oh man, we can go fishing with Jeff Coates. Yep. Really interesting.
Fishing again, there's just lots of differences between the two activities for sure.
Yeah, good stuff, man. We're continuing to look for things that we can do together, and I think that fishing would be a really good intro to a boat. Maybe
there you go.
Maybe a boat with a fishing rod on it would be good. So
there's a difference between fishing and catching, though, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of like hunting. I don't know what the analogy would be with hunting, but there's fishing and then there's catching. So it's everybody can go fish.
Yeah, I feel like. In the past so many years, Pennsylvania's hunting numbers have decreased, the hunting license sales, and I have noticed in my group of friends that I have friends who go hunting, and then I have friends who I feel are actually hunters, and the number of people who go hunting has been decreasing, but the people who are truly hunters seem like they are just like gung ho and so fully ingrained in it. Have you seen like a change in the numbers or the people that come out with you?
Nah, I think over the years it's probably always been, I don't know like where the age break would be, that what's older, what's younger, but I think it's always been for a couple different reasons, money and just many different reasons. But it's always been, I think, an older crowd. This year I did have the guys are still in high school, and they came all the way from Alabama to do this. So, I mean, they were my youngest. They were as a whole, they were definitely my youngest guys. But generally, typically, it's a kind of an older. It's an older. I want to say old. That's not the word I want to use, but I keep coming back to old, but you know, it's a larger age group. It's an older age group versus, you know, younger. I even had like fathers and I had two fathers bring their boys this year. And like a lot of times I'll just tell you, there's so much stuff going on in their lives that like it's hard to get the kids to go. You know, the fathers are all about doing it, and the kids got, you know, from sports, and not that I'm against sports or anything like that, but you know, there's like only so many Saturdays, and you know, if you're playing soccer, football, whatever, you know, you got commitments to teams, and you know, it's I guess like everybody else, it's just hard to make time sometime to you know, to cover everything you need to do.
Yeah, I think that make the time was the perfect way to put that, because it, you know, your priorities are what gets done. And by making the time to come and hunting, or making the time for soccer or football or whatever it would be, but it's that making the time. And, you know, that's why you get booked up, you know, ahead of time, because people are like, I'm making the time to go hunting with Jeff. And we booked our hunt for 2018 in like January of 2018, and we didn't see you until December. And now we're talking about December 2019, and we talked about that in December of 2018. So
I think today for the 60-day seaduck season, I'm at 36 days, I'd say, booked. And I think I don't have deposit. I'm pretty. There's probably a couple days in there that I don't have deposits for, but pretty much everybody's is you know, I have deposits on days.
yeah, Ben, get on that. Send me that check, you punk.
I didn't mean it that way, but I'm just,
I do.
But I'm saying, I mean, people are. My point in that is people are serious about it. It's not they're just saying, hey, we want the days, but I mean, they follow up and send me the money. You know?
Yeah, making the time is just so important, and our values and our priorities are always changing. And I know that in the next 10 years, I don't know that I'll be sitting in a garage on a what day is it? Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
I have to thank myself a lot before we start.
We were both talking about this, like, what day is it today? You know, our priorities change, and I know, you know, children are our future, and I want to be able to, you know, have my children go and experience those things too. It's just got to be a priority. So, man, we've hit the gauntlet and such good tangents.
I ramble.
That's why this is so good that it's both of us. Is there anything else that you want to talk about? I just want to touch base again on, if you want to talk about the giveaway, so we can talk about that. Just to, you know, give a little bit of info on that, and then the brands that you work with, because they do so much with you. Yeah,
for sure. So like, again, the hashtag pitbossxx was just kind of, you know, Karen and I both brainstormed on this of like, how can we, you know, what can we name this thing? And that's the entries are, I'm going to go back through and I'm just going to check a hashtag pitbossxx, and that's see who's done what.
Yeah.
It's going to be a social media based entry and contest giveaway. And yeah, just like I said, it's just Karen's worried I'm going to get too many entries that it'll be overwhelming, but that's kind of what I want. You know, I want it to be busy. It's going to be something you can enter multiple times, and I think in the end, you know, still kind of thinking some of it through, but I think at the end maybe it's just going to almost be like try to make it like a public poll or public opinion of like who's. It's going to be video based. I guess I haven't still really said that, but it's going to be video based, and you know, so we get to this. Maybe like the best, what I think are the best 6 videos, and then we would just put it up there to see who can get the most likes. Or you know, I don't know how. I still haven't really thought that one. I've got like 60 hours of air time, flight time still, so I'm going to take a notepad. And I'm planning on taking lots of notes and really work that out.
Still evolving.
Yeah, it's still evolving, just like with the possible 32-foot duck boat. And,
yes, please sign me up for that one.
But no, so that's the giveaway. We did that Brant hunt hooked on OC the other day, and like Scott even said, anything else, Jeff, you want to add? And I didn't thank Arthur, and it was on my mind. And we got back to ramp, and I was like, guys, we need to. And they did put it at the end at the ramp. I did thank Arthur, Hunter, and Aiden Leonard for the use of the blind that we filmed from. But I just you know, if you're into social media, please check me out. It's at Pitboss, Pitboss Waterfowl, FOWL. That pretty much gets you anything. We were jokingly talking earlier. I mean, don't take me the wrong way, but just get on Google, and if you type in Jeff Coates, Coats, I might not be the very first thing that pops up, but there's going to be probably too much. I'd be embarrassed probably if I really do that sometime and see how much junk really does pull up. But you know, I love doing the YouTube videos, so trying to make entertaining videos on YouTube, and it's the same kind of thing where it's, you know, youtube.com/pitbosswaterfowl. So we got that going on. I don't really get on Facebook as mumuch as what I used to. The Instagram's attached to Facebook, so it looks like I'm on Facebook, but I'm really not on Facebook as much. I had some young guys tell me hey, Facebook's for old people. So
man, that was cold.
Yeah,
that was cold.
So I was like,
I'm on Facebook, man.
I'm on Facebook too. It's just I don't hang like they like we're on Instagram. That's where I always stay. I was like, okay, well, I need to be on Facebook too. But point taken to them is that's they have been trying to again staying ahead of the curve. My young friends from Alabama, I asked them what's the latest greatest on the horizon, and they were like Snapchat. I was like, yeah, I don't really Snapchat, but I was like anything else? And they're like, nope. So I said, Instagram's still the thing, and they're like, yep. I was like, okay, just checking in to see what you're see what you guys were thinking.
You got your thumb on the pulse.
Try to do a little bit, but yeah, no, just we were talking this morning about how many more years am I going to do all this, and probably at least another 10 if I'm able to stay alive that long, and we just enjoying and just try to keep moving forward and try to keep going in a positive direction. So
yeah, I like it, man. The social media side, if you want to see, I don't care if you don't hunt, I don't care if you don't fish, I don't care if you don't eat barbecue. Man, your Instagram is such a good thing for me to see each and every day, because I'm like, what's Jeff up to? Like, oh man, he's doing this, and it is always there's some good stuff out there, and you
thank you very kind. Well, this is what I like to say. I think I do a pretty good job for a guy that doesn't look that good in a bikini. So especially on Instagram, I mean, it seems like the bikini accounts they're really strong, right? I
got no comment on that. That's good.
But for a fat white guy that's doesn't look good in a bikini, I think I hold my own. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. That's interesting. So. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
I really appreciate this. Was something I've looked forward to since before I knew I was going to be in the podcasting thing. Whenever I first met you, but I know whenever I was, I got my podcasting gear on my hike, and I wrote a list on my phone, and I checked it today, and you were very high up on the list of people I wanted to sit down with.
Thank you for taking the time.
I'm looking forward to all of the things that you have coming up. I thank you.
No, I thank you.
Yeah. All right. I guess there's only one thing left to say, Jeff.
Thinking of you, we are.
All right. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Jeff, I can't thank you enough once again. What a great episode. I had so much fun hanging out with you, and congratulations on your 20th year of guiding for one of the trophy ducks that some folks are constantly striving to get. You really do offer a world-class service. I'm looking forward to my hunt with you next year. There's been a little bit of chatter around my house about getting on maybe the Bad Influence this summer and doing some fishing with you guys. So please, everybody, make sure you check out Jeff. The easiest way to find him is just Google Jeff Coates, and you'll find Pitboss Fishing, Pitboss Waterfowl. Jeff's also hooked up with the guys from Migration Nation and Retay, the firearms manufacturers, Molly Sporting Goods. He really promotes those guys, and even Crabs to Go. Jeff's just always trying to get everybody to see the world from his perspective and meet some of the great people that he's been able to meet. So, Jeff, can't thank you enough. Please go make sure that you check out Jeff online. Even if you're just a barbecue guy, Jeff's the guy to follow. His Instagram stories are always entertaining, and he doesn't change. You see is pretty much who you get whenever you sit down with Jeff. It's such a fun experience. So make sure whenever he puts all the information out about this giveaway, there are so many prizes. I know I'm going to be trying my hardest to get it on the giveaway, but there's a lot of really good prizes. Most of all, the opportunity to go and hunt with Jeff. He talks about the products and the prizes, but really the prize is being able to go on a waterfowl hunt with him. So please make sure that you check that out. As far as the next couple episodes, I've got the chance to sit down with my buddy Kid and my buddy Wheels. They came in. Those are two of my friends from the AT in 2016. I sat down with those two guys before a little section hike that we did, just a weekend in the cold Pennsylvania mountains on the AT. It was me and Kid and Wheels and my buddy Chad from North by North. We had a couple cold nights. We learned some lessons, but we still had some fun, and I got some soggy feet But we sat down before the hike and just kind of reminisced about our time on the Appalachian Trail together. I'm getting ready to finish up that podcast. That was a lot of fun. And I was also able to land a little hangout with my friend Matt Dobson, who is getting ready to hike the Continental Divide Trail this year. So he's leaving in April of 2019 for Mexico. He's going to go northbound on the CDT this year, and I'm going to be able to follow along with him and hopefully maybe get out and see him for a week or two. But that'll be coming out also a little bit later on. So got a couple good episodes coming up, a lot of things to be excited for. I know that talking with Chad, I'm going to be attending trail days on the AT in Damascus, which is mid-April, mid-May. I can't even remember. It's sometime coming up, but I'm going to actually be able to attend trail days with Chad and help him out at his booth and help him support his products that he's selling at northbynorth.co, northxnorth.co. Chad and I will be down at trail days in April. I've got a hike coming up in around the Asheville area, probably on the AT. Hopefully I'll get to see some aspiring through hikers, and it'll be a little bit of a get together. Some of my friends from the PCT and some AT friends we're gonna try to get together and do some hiking. So a lot to look forward to. This spring has been super busy. It's gonna be the last 2 months of the winter. I've been so busy, but man, I have it really good. I have a good life, and it's because of the choices that I've made. And I hope that listening to this podcast, it helps you to figure out the things that are important to you so that you can kind of live your best life too. Thanks again, guys.